Good afternoon or good day. Imagine that. It's good day, everybody. Good day. Welcome to Life Sciences Grade 11. My name is Duduzile Kupeka. I am the teacher for Life Sciences. And guys, today we are marking the assessment. So we'll present the memorandum and then go through it together, see where you went wrong, see where you can improve, This is a great thing. That's what I love about assessments. They give you a chance to track and monitor your own progress and see how you are doing. So you can see which areas you need to improve on. Let me tell you a story. I was studying biotechnology, BSc in biotechnology. And there was this one subject that I really was struggling with. I think it was microbiology, guys. There's a day I studied and studied and studied, and I was very sure that now I'm ready for this test. And then I tried testing myself with some past papers. I think I went through almost 5 past papers and I couldn't answer a single one. I spent the night crying, going through the course book to see if I can change my course to one that won't need that microbiology. But the point I'm trying to make, and I couldn't find it, so I didn't change my course. I couldn't find anyone which would allow me to change micro without having to add additional modules. So what did I have to do? I had to go back to my books and study, because I saw when I did the past papers that, you know what, even after I still don't know anything. So I needed to start afresh, change my method, change my strategy, and study to make sure I am better prepared for the exam. So the more and more you study, the more you prepare, you'll get it right. We are here now because it doesn't mean it was always smooth and easy. It has been challenges left, right, and center. But you push through, you monitor your progress, you see where your failures were, and then you rectify that. You don't give up on yourself and you don't quit on yourself. If anything, you should be backing yourself at all times, because oftentimes many other people wouldn't. So you need to see yourself through. If you see yourself struggling with a particular subject, take all the time you need, study, change your methods if you see the previous ones are not working. But at the end of the day, we are gunning for your win, right? All right, now on to the question paper. So guys, like I said, it's the memorandum. You feel free, please feel free, just type in the chat box the answers. If you have any questions, any comments, whatever, I will respond. I promise you that. Section A, question 1. Various options are given as possible answers to the following questions. Choose the correct answer and write only the letter A to D next to the question number in the answer book. So if it's 1.1.1 and the answer is D, that's what you will write, 1.1.1 D. Please make sure your numbering is correct at all times. Remember, when you write, your teacher is probably marking thousands and thousands or hundreds of other scripts. Now, you don't want to waste his or her time with the wrong numbering, and then now you have to go check the question to see, just do the right thing, follow the instructions. It's that simple, and it'll make everyone's life easy. So, question 1.1.1, carbon dioxide is carried in the blood mainly as what? Carbon dioxide is carried mainly as, okay, I was quick to show that answer. Mainly as, I'll highlight as the sections as well so it can be clear for people who can't see the letters. Mainly as bicarbonate ions in the red blood cells. Remember, when we discussed this topic with human gaseous exchange, and we discussed the various ways in which carbon dioxide is carried in the blood. One way is in the plasma, a blood plasma, the other is through the bicarbonate ions, and the other one is through the carbonic acid, though in the blood. Remember, those are the 3 ways. But this one here, the most correct one here is the bicarbonate ions in the red blood cells. And then question 1.1.2, the blood that exits the liver contains what compared to the blood that enters the liver? So we are comparing the blood that enters and the blood that leaves the liver. The one that exits contains less glucose, more oxygen, more glucose, or less urea compared to the blood that enters the liver. Who knows the answer here? Feel free to type in the chat box now. So that blood over there contains less glucose. Remember that glucose regulation is taking place in that liver there, with which is controlled mainly by the pancreas, which is that gland there that regulates glucose concentrations in the body. So when the blood enters, because it will of course have high sugar levels due to the fact that it's probably food you've just eaten that contains high sugar. Then in the liver, it will be processed through the assistance of the pancreas. Pancreas is then secreting insulin to lower the sugar levels in the blood. Then the blood will then be transported out with less sugar than the sugar that went in. Ne? Remember that. Question 1.1.3. The graphs below, which is A, B, C, and D, represent the relationship between the rate of photosynthesis and temperature. So let's study the graphs. Graph A, let me use the marker here, the pointer. Graph A, you see the steep is quite, the slope is steep. Ne? On the y-axis for all of them, you have rate of photosynthesis, and on the x-axis, you have the temperature in degrees Celsius. So you see here the different rates, the different ways in which it's increasing for graph A, and in graph B as well. In graph B as well, it was increasing, and then it curved just a bit there, meaning the rate, the growth rate was, it decreased a bit. So it was it was getting more constant, it was decreasing. In C, it increased up until at about 40 degrees Celsius, before 40 degrees, maybe at about 30 degrees Celsius. Then it decreased again. And then in graph D, it is decreasing. It's a slope that is decreasing. So there's a difference in these three graphs. So let's go to the question here. Which one of the graphs represent the correct relationship between the temperature and the rate of photosynthesis? So what is the relationship between temperature and the rate of photosynthesis? That's the important question we need to ask before you even attempt answering the question. What is the effect of temperature? What is that relationship that exists between temperature and photosynthesis? What we know from that information is that the higher the temperature, then typically the greater the rate of photosynthesis, right? The higher the temperature, the higher the rate of photosynthesis. So they are directly proportional to each other. If temperature increases, the rate of photosynthesis also increases. So that's how it works, right? Photosynthesis is a chemical reaction. And as we know, with a lot of other chemical reactions, it's a thing with a lot of other chemical reactions as well. Not all of them, please remember that, but most of the chemical reactions, when you increase temperature, you increase the rate, right? So you remember, this is something you do as well in the chemistry class, where you will learn about these factors that will increase the rate of reaction. Temperature is one of them. And you might also learn, I see you'll learn about that. And then, so in this case here, we know the relationship is that when you increase temperature, you increase the rate of photosynthesis. So in these four graphs over here, which one shows us the relationship between temperature and photosynthesis? Are you guys ready to answer? Are you settled in now? Are you ready? Yeah, they are ready. Okay, someone is saying, Kuzayo. Hi, Kuzayo. Welcome to class. Okay, Lee is no longer here. Bushle is not here yet. Okay, so you're saying it's graph C, but no, it can't be graph C. I don't know. Why do I disagree with C? Somehow I don't agree with C. Why? Tell me why you say it's, okay, tell me, give me a reason why you'd say it's D. There's the tricky part there. Do you mind telling me why you say it's D? Okay, you fixed your answer, yes, but now I want to know why. You might say it's D. Remember I just said when you increase temperature, you increase the rate of reaction, right? But what is different about this one? Hi, Lee. What is different about this one? Why in this one here, you see at this part here in temperature over there, at about, when it's still, it's high there. But then as you increase the temperature, it is now decreasing. Why? Okay, let me tell you, the reason is that, yes, it is true. When you increase temperature, you increase the rate of reaction. But when it comes to photosynthesis and many other chemical reactions, a temperature above 40 degrees Celsius will slow down the reaction. Because at such high temperatures, it would even kill off certain enzymes that are responsible for that chemical reaction. Then you will see a rapid decrease in the reaction rate. You understand? So at lower temperatures, if we're given a graph that indicates temperatures which are lower than the 20 degrees or lower than 40, we could see a steady increase. But because now these are extremely high temperatures for photosynthesis particularly, and you'll notice with various other chemical reactions you will still do as well. When you are now working with very high temperatures, at very high temperatures, then enzymes can be denatured, and then that will slow down the reaction rate. That is why at these temperatures, because they're high, now the reaction rate is decreasing. If the numbers, like I'm saying, if they were different, if you had temperatures below 40 over here, all of them, then you would notice a decrease. Is that clear, guys? Do you understand that? So that's what would happen. So based on that information, yeah, it is decreasing. Yes, Kuzwaya's answer there is emphasizing my point. Photosynthesis stops, therefore decrease the rate of photosynthesis as it has reached its optimal temperature. So after it has reached the optimal temperature, the rate will go down. In this case here, we are shown graphs whereby the rate, the optimal temperature has been reached. That's why the rate is going down. And then, thank you for that. Question 1.1.4. The following components are involved in cellular respiration. What are those components? We have energy, we have carbon dioxide, we have carbohydrates, we have water and oxygen. Which one of the following combinations show the correct way in which the components are involved? Guys, this one I've been writing it for you. I think all my classes, I always emphasize this for me. I've been writing it for you all the time. The formula for cellular respiration. So now there you find it in the test. You see, I wasn't just wasting your time. I was writing it because I know it gets asked in questions. The cellular respiration, firstly, before you even go to attempting your answer, what you can do is you write the formula. Who can tell me the formula for cellular respiration there? We're going to have the sugar, which is maybe our glucose. That will be broken down. Those are your reactants, glucose plus oxygen, right? The formula for cellular respiration. And your products would be what? You get H2O, which is water. You get carbon dioxide and ATP. There. So you see your reactants, you see your products there. So which of these following combinations show the correct way? Don't be confused by the glucose here, guys. You know that when you take in carbohydrates, they are converted to glucose, right? So that's why it's glucose here. The standard formula is glucose. But you know that glucose can come from the carbs, the carbohydrates. That's why people who are trying to lose weight are advised not to eat as much carbs, because they eventually get the excess carbs get converted to glucose, which is the sugar molecules. So there, which one is the process here? It means the reactants is this part. These are the reactants. Okay, no, let me use a highlighter instead. The reactants are carbohydrates plus what? Oxygen. And then the product is the, so we look through here, 2 and 5. These are the correct answer. As Kuzwa is saying, the correct answer is D, because it is the carbohydrates plus oxygen, which will give you energy. Energy is in the form of ATP, right? ATP is the energy carrying molecule. Remember, I've been mentioning that. So don't be confused. Just because they didn't write ATP doesn't mean it's not it. It's the energy carrying molecule. And 3 is the carbon dioxide, and 4 is water. So that exactly is the chemical reaction, or the reaction for cellular respiration. Thanks, Kusayo. And then question 1.1.5. E. coli bacteria living in the colon of the human digestive system is an example of what? Is it an example? This E. coli that lives in the colon of the human digestive system. Wait, before I continue, Kuzwa, did you do the assessment? Please send a message in the chat box with your full names and a yes or no if you did the assessment. Ne? And then E. coli is this bacteria that lives in the colon of the human digestive system. Is this an example of parasitism, mutualism, competition, or commensalism? What is it? Yes, that is correct, Kuzayo. That is an example of mutualism. Because why? The bacteria here, this E. coli, is getting food and shelter by living in this colon here of this, the living colon of the human digestive system. So we have these bacteria living, the E. coli bacteria living in our digestive system, in the colon there. So it gets shelter and food there. And then what do we get in return? It's able to break down the food that we digest, because it's part of the digestive system. So it assists in the digestion of the food. So this is a mutual relationship. It's give and take in a, you see, we give and take. We are both benefiting and no one is suffering because of this relationship here. And then Kuzwa, respond in the chat there. Did you do the assessment? And then give me your full names, please. Okay, 1.1.6, irritable bowel syndrome. In short, in abbreviated form is IBS. It's irritable bowel syndrome. This is a medical term to describe a disease of the digestive system. Symptoms usually occur after certain foods or drinks were consumed, and it can cause sudden and severe diarrhea. What consequences can this have for a person? So if you have the irritable bowel syndrome, what consequences could be there? Too much water and nutrients will be absorbed in the digestive tract. Too little water will be absorbed, but the nutrients will be absorbed. Too little nutrients will be absorbed, but water will be absorbed. Or too little water and nutrients will be absorbed. Because I was saying vitamin K. Wait, what are you? Which one are you responding to? I think there's a. Oh, okay, I get it. But let's speak now. Which one there is the correct answer? What is the consequence for someone with irritable bowel syndrome? Would there be too much water and nutrients which will be absorbed in the digestive tract, or too little water absorbed, but too little water will be absorbed, but the nutrients will be absorbed, or too little nutrients will be absorbed, by water will be absorbed, too little water and nutrients will be absorbed. So this is, yeah, severe diarrhea. It's both too little water and nutrients will be absorbed. because now it's diarrhea. You're constantly going to the toilet. That's why when you have diarrhea, you're advised to always ensure that you drink plenty of fluids, right? Plenty of fluids and with electrolytes. So you don't just drink plain water. You can even make the salt water solution to replace the electrolytes you are busy losing as you are continuously going to the toilet. Because why? You are losing water, yes, but you are also losing nutrients. So if you drink plain water, then you are only replacing the water that you are losing and you are not replacing nutrients. So it doesn't really help you. So what you need to do if you are experiencing severe diarrhea, you need to ingest a lot of liquids, because sometimes people can't even ingest a food if it happens. But you're advised to take in liquids. So this could even be like your energy, things like that. Or make the salt water solution, because what? It has, or even fruit juice, those, it will replace the nutrients you are losing, the sugar and the salt, and you must measure them accurately. Then each time after you go to the toilet, then you come back and drink about a glass of, or half a glass of the water with the salt and sugar, to make sure that you are replacing the water plus the nutrients you are busy losing. And this will ensure you prevent dehydration, because then that will cause other problems for you and your whole system. So ensure that you take that solution. And it's very strict. It directs you that you need to boil the water, but let it cool down first before you mix your solution. Why? Like we just discussed with photosynthesis. In chemical reactions, when there are too high temperatures, it can kill off the enzymes that are needed. So that's why you need to let the water cool down, so that you don't kill off the enzymes needed to help you. Follow instructions, guys, but please remember that you need to replace both water and nutrients you are losing. Thanks, Kuzwayo. And then, Kuzwayo says it doesn't know anything about an assessment. Yeah, guys. Yeah. Okay, I am sharing it with you, Kuzwayo, now. Where is it? I'm trying to share so that you can maybe go do it if you get the chance. Yeah, guys. How is it possible, Mara Kuzwayo? This is the one thing I've always been talking about, assessment. Guys, we are preparing for assessment. We were doing past papers yesterday because we were preparing for the assessment. There, download it, write it, ne? Then send it to me. Please, Kuzwayo. 1.1.7. The sequence of plant succession on a bare piece of land is described below. So this is plant succession on a bare piece of land. 1, the trees will start to grow. 2, mosses and lichens will grow and form soil when they die. 3, soil thickens and small shrubs grow. And 4, soil develops and then grasses and small plants grow. So which of the following sequences lead to the emergence of stable climax community? So this is a bare piece of land. There's nothing on this piece of land. What are the steps of which you end up having a stable climax community? What are the correct steps over here? Okay, the answer is C. As you can see, the first part is this one. The mosses and the lichens will grow and then form soil when they die, right? Because it's bare land, yes, but there are mosses and lichens there. Sorry about that. Let me use a pen rather. You've got mosses and lichens over there. So that would be 1. And then what happens after that? The soil there, because the mosses and lichens, they grow and they form soil when they die. Then the soil is developing and the grasses and small plants will grow. Then that step, soil thickens and small shrubs will grow. After that, then even trees will start to grow. So the answer is C. It shows the steps in that order. And then 1.1.8, an experiment was set up to investigate whether oxygen is released during photosynthesis. The result of the experiment is represented in the following diagram. So you'll see bell jar 1. Bell jar 1, you have your candle there, it's lit, right? Then in the second image there, the candle now it went out. So this is after a short time, the candle went out. And then in bell jar B, you've got the candle, the lit candle, and the plant next to it. Then the second part of that bell jar B, this is the candle continues to burn for a longer period. This experiment was to investigate whether oxygen is released during photosynthesis. So what exactly is it about this that proves that oxygen is indeed present? You see bell jar 1, there's no tree. So the difference is that in jar A, there's no tree. In jar B, there is a tree. So what exactly is it about the tree here that proves that there's photosynthesis?
According to Wikibooks, a tree is called.
What is it? Okay. So what happens, guys? Remember we just did the, okay, no. In photosynthesis, you know the results of photosynthesis, right? The results of photosynthesis, or the products of photosynthesis, are oxygen. Oxygen is one of the products of photosynthesis. So the tree in this case, or this plant is there. Let me try and write the formula for you. Where is my pen? Okay, so we've got carbon dioxide, the inputs for photosynthesis. We've got water. I won't balance the equation here, guys. We will balance it later. I'm just trying to show you the basic molecules or substances there. It's carbon dioxide and water, plus what that you need for photosynthesis, plus light. Those are the three things you need mainly for photosynthesis. And then what would be the product from there? That would be your sugar molecule or your glucose, carbs. That is I'll just write glucose. You can even write the formula for the sugar. But for the purpose of this message or point I'm trying to get across, we don't really need to balance out this whole thing. And then it's glucose and oxygen. Do you see? The formula for photosynthesis is actually the reverse of cellular respiration. It's just that in cellular respiration, instead of light, you would have energy, but anyway, or ATP. But anyway, it's really like the reverse of each other. So this is the process that happens in plants. They take in carbon dioxide, H2O, and light. That's what they need. And what would they release as byproducts? It's the glucose, or carbohydrates, those ones. And then they would also release oxygen. So we are trying to prove or investigate in the experiment that oxygen is released during photosynthesis, right? So how are we proving it? The candle. Remember when we started the topic of gaseous exchange? So in order for the flame to keep on burning, you need a supply of oxygen, right? For process of combustion. Without oxygen, a flame cannot burn. So yes, you might need the spark there, but to keep it burning, you will need it to be fueled by the oxygen. So oxygen is the fuel that keeps it burning. So in this part here, there is no oxygen. It's closed off. This bell jar is closed off, as you can see. There's no oxygen entering here. So what happens? It's just releasing the carbon dioxide, right? But it has nowhere to go. So it ends up even killing off this flame, because this flame actually needs oxygen for it to keep on burning. But in bell jar B, this is a plant which undergoes photosynthesis. So a plant here has carbon dioxide released by the flame, and then the water probably in the roots here in the plant, because you can see, and then the light as well is available. Then what does it release? It releases carbon dioxide. It releases oxygen, and then the food, or the food component, which is the glucose or the carbohydrates, are in this plant, right? Those are the products there. So oxygen, though, is released as a gas. And when it's released, it's taken by this flame. And that's why it's keeping on burning. It's continuing to burn because the oxygen gas is being released. That is why it's continuing to burn for a longer period. So this experiment really did prove that indeed oxygen is released during photosynthesis, because what's missing here is oxygen, and then by just putting the plant there, then oxygen is there. So the following deductions were made before arriving at the final conclusion. One, it's photosynthesis reduces the amount of carbon dioxide inside bell jar B. Or two, the oxygen in bell jar A was completely used up and the burning is not supported. Three, the photosynthesis increases the amount of oxygen inside bell jar B. Or four, the vapor produced inside bell jar A due to combustion extinguished the burning candle. So which one of the deductions are correct over here? Which ones do you think are correct? Let's analyze them differently, individually. Photosynthesis reduces the amount of carbon dioxide inside bell jar B. Is that true or false? That is true, right? It reduces it because it takes in carbon dioxide, releasing oxygen. So this is true for bell jar B. The oxygen in bell jar A was completely used up and the burning is not supported. That also is true. It was used up, burning is not supported. Question 3, point 3. The photosynthesis increases the amount of oxygen inside bell jar B. So photosynthesis increases, right? That is true. It does increase. And then 4 is the vapor produced inside bell jar A due to combustion extinguished the burning candle. So what is your answer? It is false, right? It's not due to combustion. Combustion is the process whereby there's a presence of oxygen. So this one is wrong. It's false. So which ones are correct? It is 1, 2, and 3 only. 1, 2, and 3 only, the ones I've indicated as being true. And I explained it to you why. And then question 1.1.9. Which one of the following represents an example where there is no social organization and the chances of survival are reduced? So if there's a division of labor in a beehive, or B, a school of fish moving in various formations, or C, a predator hunting alone, or D, an alpha male in a lion pack is the only one to reproduce with the females. Which one here represents an example where there is no social organization? Here, there's no social organization and the chances of survival are reduced. Where are the chances of survival reduced over in these options here? Remember, the key point we're asking about is social organization. In which scenarios here do you not see social organization? It is C. Why C? It's mainly C in the fact that, remember the question here is asking about survival, right? So when you hunt alone, you're hunting because you need food. Should you not find the food and you also don't have someone in your social space to assist you get that food, you might die off. But the one about the alpha male trying to reproduce with the other females, yeah, it still might be correct, but the most correct one is C, whereby this predator is hunting alone. You understand? In that other one, indeed, there are other species that are there. There are other organisms that are there. So chances of survival is higher than in a case where the predator is hunting alone. You understand that? So it's like you have absolutely no family, you have no one in this whole world. That's what we're talking about when we speak of social organization. You have nothing. When we speak of social organization, we understand that we work in groups, like you see with the division of labor in a beehive. The bees, they know, they divide the labor, so they work together towards a common goal. The same way with the school of fish. The fish move in serious formations. This ensures their survival because they form a certain shape. And in the eyes of that hunter, it will look like it's a large species and it's just many, many fish together. So they survive in that method. But now, when you're a predator, you're hunting alone. It's like you are alone in the world. You have absolutely no one to help you, to rely on. And you know, from time to time, you need people to assist you, right? So when in this case, you are just alone, it means you need to work for yourself, get food, get money to buy food. So what happens if you don't have a job? You'll probably die off because you'd be alone in the world with no one to help you. But fortunately, we know that's not how it is, right? We are existing in communities, so we are never really alone. But people's situations are different. But in the animal world, it's an example of this one. A predator is hunting alone. If something is attacking this predator, it's dead. No one is protected. If it can't find food, it can't even go and eat or share with someone else because that's it. The chances of survival are very slim due to the fact that there is no social organization. But here with the alpha pack, the males here, if this one alpha male dies off, then chances are the females will find another male who will then mate with them to reproduce. You understand that? And then question 1.1.10. A child is taken to the hospital and diagnosed with a form of malnutrition. Upon further investigation, doctors learned that the child used only maize meal as food. From what type of malnutrition is this child most likely to suffer? What is this type of malnutrition called? It is kwashiorkor. And kwashiorkor is a form of malnutrition that occurs in people who are not eating a balanced diet. So there's not enough protein, or there's no protein at all in their diet. So these people, it's in areas especially where they have limited food resources. So these are people, or these are children mainly, who eat foods which don't have enough protein and calories. So they'll get this disease, this disorder called kwashiorkor. And what would it result in? It would result in delayed growth in children. Then there'd also be a swollen stomach, and they'd be prone to more infections because now they're not eating enough food. And there are regions in the world where they're like this. Can you imagine this? It's such an unjust world we are living in. There are regions where people starve, guys, and they resort to eating soil. I once came across an article where people eat soil. They bring mud together, they mix it with water, and they make mud cookies. That's a thing. They make mud cookies and resort to eating that because they have no other choice. They have no other food. Then that's how they are trying to survive. And then you find in the other parts of the world, people spending thousands and thousands of rands on shoes or watches. In the other parts of the world, people are starving. No. Okay, Kuzwayo's question is, do vegetarians or vegans suffer from this? No, they do not suffer from this at all. Why? Because their food, especially when you talk of protein, meat is not the only source of protein. There are many other plants like nuts as well that are sources of protein, and they get sufficient nutrients. Actually, vegetarians and vegans get sufficient nutrients for as long as they are eating a diverse range of their foods that they're eating, but they are quite healthy. That's why they're surviving. It's actually most people have argued it's a healthier option to be a vegetarian or vegan because of their diet. And because they don't have the option of meat, they'd actually be eating a lot of these protein sources. Like that, it's found in different types. It's beans, like I said, and nuts, cheese, green peas, whole grains, peanut butter, eggs, mushrooms, the white ones. You see, those are all sources of protein. So there's a variety of nutrients found in their food. So it's still a good balance anyway, ne? So it's rare that they suffer from this. Like you see in this example, people who suffer from this usually they just live on this maize meal. And you see, because maize meal is like a staple food and it's cheaper and it's widely available. So as long as people, have you seen, I don't know when we grew up, it's like maize meal is like, even now, maize meal in our households are like the main food. It's like when you have maize meal, you've got food, and then you'll find other ways of getting maybe stew or maybe other meats or whatever, but maize meal is like the main one. But for these ones particularly, they don't have anything to supplement it with. It's just maize meal. For us, we probably have maize meal and pap, or maize meal and cabbage, or maize meal and other types of foods. For these people who end up suffering from kwashiorkor are people who are just eating maize meal on its own with no other nutrients that to assist them. And then they get those conditions. Have you seen those adverts about people donating, especially in the regions of Ethiopia where people are suffering from these diseases and they have big tummies, the babies have big tummies there? That is because of kwashiorkor, and they are not getting enough supplements supplements of food in their systems or nutrients. Ne? Okay, let's see. We can finish. 4 minutes is a lot of time. We'll finish these 9 questions. Give the correct biological term for each of the following descriptions. Write only the term next to the question number. So it's 1.2.1 to 1.2.9, right? You write the question number and the term. 1.2.1, a type of malnutrition in which the person consumes large quantities of high energy food. Which one is this one? The ones that this type of malnutrition, the person consumes large quantities of high energy food. This is obesity. It's high energy food. Remember, when you eat large quantities of, it's malnutrition. You see, I get it. I get why you said what you said, ne? But let us pay attention to the words phase. They are serious here. They are specific that they're looking for a malnutrition. If it was saying a disease, then yes, you could say that. You could say diabetes as it was asking about a disease, right? But right now it is asking about a malnutrition. And that is why the answer is obesity. So you understand the difference there. If it was asking about a disease in which the person consumes large quantities of high energy food, then yes, diabetes could be it, because the high energy foods would even result in getting high glucose concentrations in your blood, right? But this is a type of malnutrition, and that is why the answer is obesity. I hope I'm clear with that, ne? 1.2.2, the form in which excess glucose is stored in a plant. What is that form in which excess glucose is stored in a plant? It's starch. Excess glucose is stored in a form of starch in the plant. That's why I said to you, starch could usually even be carbs, ne? When you, like, why we in the formulas we just say glucose, even though we know it represents even carbs and starches there. Then 1.2.3, different populations occurring in a particular area. What are the different populations occurring in a particular area? These are communities. In a community, you have different families of organisms, different populations of families existing in a particular area. 1.2.4, the one-way movement of organisms out of a population to a new area. So when organisms move from out of this one population to a new area, what is that called? Immigration, they are exiting this one to go to another one. Exit, that's why the E, the exit is immigration. It's immigration, right? You immigrate. It happens in animals, it happens with people as well. People immigrate for different reasons to different regions of the world or the country. In apartheid era, a lot of people from South Africa, a lot of political fighters left the country to go to other countries and immigrated there because they were fighting for justice. So there are different reasons. And then plants might move out and immigrate to a different region because they want to go get food in that area. And the food here is maybe they no longer have food where they are based. So those are different reasons why that would happen. 1.2.5, the anaerobic respiration that occurs in yeast cells. That is alcoholic fermentation. That is the respiration that occurs in yeast cells. So that's why you put in yeast when you need the fermentation to occur, right? It's because of the fermentation that occurs. Why we put yeast even in our alcohol, when you brew alcohol or when you bake dumplings or bread, you need that fermentation process. Now, guys, we are out of time now. We will continue tomorrow. Kuzwayo and everyone else, if you can, please do the assessment, email it to me, and we can continue marking in class so you can be able to monitor your progress. And yeah, thank you so much, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care of yourselves. Bye.